All right, so moving on to the next segment. I'll be sharing my fight prediction for this weekend's fight taking place in the sport of boxing between David Benavidez and Demetrius Andrade. So this fight will be taking place in the super middleweight division between David Benavidez and Demetrius Andrade, with David Benavidez defending his WBC interim super middleweight title against Demetrius Andrade in the main event in Las Vegas, Nevada, taking place in the sport of boxing tomorrow night. So this will probably be one of the last biggest events that this Showtime boxing will be showing. As you guys know, there will be no more Showtime boxing by the end of the calendar year 2023. It'll be the end of an era. And they're going out with a bang because this whole entire card of the David Benavidez and Demetrius Andrade is stacked from top to bottom. And I think the 4 fights that are going to be on the main card will be spectacular. Should be a great event tomorrow night. So it's good that Showtime Boxing is going out with a bang with the end of an era happening at the end of the 2023. So my storylines heading into this fight for the two respective fighters. You have David Benavidez, who is riding a wave of momentum after picking up the biggest win of his young career in March of this year against Caleb Plant. He won that fight by unanimous decision. That was his biggest win. How will he ride that wave of momentum heading into this fight against Demetrius Andrade on Saturday night? Is he ready to be the next big star in the sport of boxing? Then you have Demetrius Andrade. Has not had a big fight on a big-time stage this late in his boxing career. He's 35 years of age and a former 2-time world champion in 2 different weight classes. Still does not have that signature win under his belt in his boxing career, this being hitting his late 30s and going towards the end of his career. Can he change the narrative Saturday night with the biggest opportunity of his boxing career? Can he defeat David Benavidez when it matters most to potentially get an undisputed championship fight with Canelo Alvarez in the super middleweight division? Time will tell if Demetrius Andrade will step up to the plate in his biggest opportunity of his boxing career. So my tail of the tape for this fight. You have David, the Mexican monster, Benavidez. He's 27-0. He has 23 knockouts to his resume. He's the youngest WBC super middleweight champion in boxing history. 2-time WBC world champion in the sport of boxing. Obviously, we know he's been stripped twice. I really don't need to go into detail about that. But he's currently the reigning defending WBC interim world champion in the super middleweight division. He stands at 6'3" and has a reach advantage of 74 inches. And then you have Demetrius Boo Boo Andrade. He's 32-0. He has 19 knockouts to his resume, a 2-division world champion in 2 different weight classes. He stands at 6 foot tall and has a reach advantage of 73 inches. So the height and the reach advantage goes to David Benavidez. These are my keys to victory for both respective fighters. They want to walk out of Las Vegas, Nevada with that interim WBC super middleweight title and be next in line potentially for Canelo Alvarez and his undisputed super middleweight titles at the 168-pound division. So these are the keys of victory for David Benavidez if he wants to be successful. He has to start off fast. Now, this concerns me because it's key that he starts off fast against Demetrius Andrade, because what we saw in that last fight against Caleb Plant, he really took a long time to get going in that fight. Luckily, Caleb Plant started running out of gas, and he's known for that, unfortunately, in the sport of boxing. But he started off slow against Caleb Plant in the first few rounds of that fight. He cannot afford to do that against Demetrius Andrade. He needs to start fast. He needs to put his foot on the gas pedal and go forward from round 1 all the way until the fight ends. If round 12, if necessary, he needs to start off fast and never let his foot off the gas pedal. He also needs to be alert and landing counter punches. He's a very underrated counter puncher. Needs to time his shots perfectly and wait for the perfect opportunity. He has to be patient against a veteran like Demetrius Andrade. If not, it could be a world of trouble. So if he's coming in, he's got to time those counter punches or land the punches when needed. Has to be very patient against Demetrius Andrade. And last but not least, he has to walk down Demetrius Andrade. He has the height advantage and the reach advantage. I think this is his bread and butter. He's very dangerous walking down his opponents, and it's very well documented in all his fights that he's had in his young boxing career. When he starts walking down his opponents, he lands his punches in the clinch. That's his bread and butter, and cutting off the ring is his bread and butter as well. As big as he is, I think that's the key victories, the key strategies for for David Benavidez to follow if he wants to be successful Saturday night against Demetrius Andrea. And then for Demetrius Andrea to be successful Saturday night. These are my keys and victories for him. Just like David Benavidez, start off fast. Now, David Benavidez started off slow, like I just said a few moments ago, against Caleb Plant in his last fight. The opposite is what Demetrius Andrea does in his fights. He starts very fast, no matter who the opponent is. He always starts off fast, and this is an advantage for him because he hurts his opponents with his power very early when he starts off fast. He has his opponents very intimidated of his power, and I think this will be a key strategy for Demetrius Andrea to potentially get up on the scorecards very early in this 12-round championship fight. And I think he also has to take advantage of David Benavidez's footwork. The one flaw I see in David Benavidez is his lousy footwork. I don't know how you really describe his footwork, but it's unbalanced and it's not good. He lacks great footwork. He has a wide stance in that boxing ring, something that he really should work on for the likes of for potentially a future fight with the best of the best in the sport of boxing. But if Demetrius Andrea can take advantage of his wide stance, awkward footwork in that boxing ring, I think that can be a key advantage for him winning this fight. And I think Demetrius Andrea should be shooting for jabs, uppercuts to keep him off guard with that bad footwork and keep him off balance. I think Demetrius Andrea has a shot to win this fight if he does that. But with that being said, I'm going with David Benavidez to win this fight via knockout within the 6th to 9th round, 9 rounds in this fight. I just think this fight is set up for a potential knockout for whoever is victorious for this fight. I think this fight will not go to distance. Somebody is getting knocked out in this fight. It's going to be a scrap. It's going to be a claw for the fight, for the finish, to prove who is one of the best in the super middleweight division. And I think David Benavidez is going to win this fight. He's younger, he's faster, he's stronger than Demetrius Andrea. I feel like he will break him down with his power and aggression, walking him down and cutting off the ring in the later rounds. And I think that's going to break down Demetrius Andrea as this fight goes on. This is also Demetrius Andrea's first fight at the 168-pound division. That's something to keep an eye out for. And I'm not sure if he will be able to handle the power, the strength, and the youth, arguably the second best fighter in the super middleweight division, David Benavidez. I'm going with David Benavidez to win this fight via knockout through the 6th through 9th rounds of this fight. But that is my fight prediction for this weekend's fight between David Benavidez and Demetrius Andrea taking place in the sport of boxing.